Hello, welcome back, my bunny friends, to Higurashi no Nakukoro ni. So I know it's been a while, and I'm sorry about that. You have no idea how much after I've wanted to watch the anime just to see if I got the mystery right, but I can't do that. I've started with the books. I will finish with the book, and then we'll watch the anime. But if you haven't yet, please check out my YouTube video. I did a whole episode on my deduction. So, before going into the answer arcs. So, please check that out. My YouTube is also Sky Bunny, and there's also a link on Twitch if you want to click there. I'm really trying to get my YouTube up and going since it's harder for me Japanese time for Americans and vice versa. And I've really been doing a lot of hard work on it. Editing videos is a lot of fun. I did one the other day where I had like a hour-long battle with Aveline because she was the last one left, and I like put circus music in and made it like super fat. Anyways, it was hilarious. It's really good. So please check out my YouTube channel and also check out this deduction episode. But please, once again, do not give any spoilers. I do not want spoilers. I want to know if I figured it out for myself. Anyways, with that said, let us continue with the detective, Aksa. The phone suddenly rang. I woke up in a hurry. The clock read 9 p.m. Damn it! I slept past the time I was supposed to report. I picked up the receiver. Aksaka-sama, you have a call from an outside line. Shall I connect you? It's from a coworker named Kanoi-sama. I knew it. I didn't call, so they had to phone me. Sorry. Please put them through. Understood. I'll connect you, so please hang up the receiver for the time being. After I had put down the receiver for a few seconds, the phone began to ring again. Yes, hello. This is Aksaka. Aksaka-kun. This is Kanoi. Good work out there. You didn't call in for your regular report, so we called instead. What's your situation? Leaving the lecture for later, my senior coworker got straight to the point. Today I went to the village proper. Under the guise of a tourist, I managed to establish contact with the mayor and several other core members of the Defense Alliance. I wasn't able to ask them anything, but I left a good impression and was able to bridge my investigation from tomorrow onwards. I see. It looks like things are going smoothly. Aksaka-kun, you seem rather naive sometimes, but that might have worked in your favor. I guess you made some good progress for now, I don't have the experience to make a comparison, so I don't know if it's that good or not. I think things went well for today, though. Did you find anything out from the prefectural or local offices? Does it look as though the Onigashima Defense Alliance is unrelated to this incident? I still didn't know. I should have been able to say that immediately. I only had to say that, but for some reason I hesitated. I'm still investigating, so I don't know what to say yet. I see. Could you let us know as soon as possible? I think you understand, but after tonight it will have been a full 4 days since the kidnapping. They didn't set a time limit, but it's obvious that time is not on our side. I think you know that. Yes, I know. I'll investigate quicker while still being careful. All right. Be sure to look after yourself. You're dealing with a violent organization here. It might be dangerous to let your guard down. If you feel that you're in danger, contact me immediately. In that case, I can get through the local public safety office prepared to help you. Thank you. I'll do my best. Anything else to report? I reported several bits of supplementary information, and at the very end I decided to ask, How's the investigation going on your end? Everyone's doing their best here, but we're not making much progress. After all, the number of organizations we're investigating is vast. So, if you find out that the one you're investigating is in the clear, we'll have you return to Tokyo to assist some of the other officers. The chief is saying to dig up what you can on Onigafuchi, but I don't think a residential anti-dam protest group has any relation to the incident at hand. Sending somebody out just to investigate a single group makes me cringe, really. At this point, he was just complaining. He was telling me to stop taking time enjoying my trip, finish up and get back. I'll try and resolve this as soon as I can. Thanks, I'm counting on you. Well then, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Okay. That's all I have. As we're ending our call, he scolded me thoroughly for being late with my regular report. After that, I hung up the phone and sprawled out on the bed. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard anything from Oishi. He was supposed to contact me about a time and place to meet with the informant tonight. I thought about getting angry with Oishi in retaliation for being scolded for forgetting my daily report. Come to think of it, though, Oishi didn't really say anything other than that he was going to call tonight. Waiting for a phone call when you didn't know what time it was going to be was rather difficult. Just when I thought that, the phone rang. I picked up the receiver in a hurry. Hello? Well, this is a surprise. I'm guessing this is Oishi. Aksaka-san, you're very quick to answer the phone. Are you a regular user of date and chat lands or something? I would never even try something seedy like that. The way you overreact is rather interesting. Want to go to a place where you can have a little bit of lewd fun? I'll pass, sir. Could you please get to the point, Oishi? Well, too bad. We'll leave that for the next time then. Well, I'll get to the point. Many of the executives in the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance had a lot of sway in the neighboring regions. Even in Okonomiya, there were a lot of people with relations in the village. That's why meeting in the Shimone Market district far from Okonomiya was a matter of course. Akasaka! Over here! Did you get a little lost? Coming from the north entrance might have been a bit of a detour, but it was easier to give directions from there. No, I'm sorry for being late. Did you eat dinner? I already did. Well then, shall we go to a place where we can get a drink? Do you prefer Western? Or maybe sake? Would you prefer a place with or without women? Don't worry about it. I don't drink while I'm on the job. Hearing that, the man that Oishi had brought along bent backwards as he guffawed, clapping Oishi on the shoulder. See? Isn't he just adorable? In exchange, can you give him a bit extra? That money all came from this guy's wallet, you know. The man Oishi had bought seemed almost like a ticket scalper or a bookie. Even his appearance was dubious. The informant grinned deviously. Hey, boy. How much did you give this guy? It looks like there's was a bit skimmed off the top, you know. Oishi's handling fee was included, as I took that into account. It seemed that the informant had expected a more extravagant reaction on my part. When I responded matter-of-factly, he realized that I was an entirely different type of person than he was. But rather than putting a distance between us, it seemed that I had piqued his interest. I said it, didn't I? He's a serious type. But do you see, Akasaka-kun? People in a line of work like ours can really use their wealth of experience to their advantage. I'm wondering exactly how the experience of drinking in a bar with women would work to my advantage. The informant, unable to contain himself, clutched at his stomach as he guffawed, heedless of the people watching. Oh, loud. Aksaka-san, you really can judge people. That's what an education does for you. Oishi, you've been drinking somewhere, haven't you? Are you drunk? What's wrong with drinking when I'm off duty? Even if you're working, I'm not. Oishi, who was the sort that'd fool around to begin with, was in such a good mood I couldn't figure out a way to deal with him. Completely different from me, who had come worried about getting every bit of information I could. Oishi, after taking so much money, you were supposed to get me information worth as least at much. I thought this, but then I realized that I was getting my information from this informant, so it didn't matter how drunk Oishi was. It was nothing I could complain about, but I still felt slightly riled up. Oishi and the informant, was no doubt a fake name, but he introduced himself as Sato, led the way deeper and deeper into the back streets of the market district. Even though the market was bustling, a couple of turns off the main street and you were in a desolate alleyway. Oishi started climbing a set of stairs on the side of a seedy building. There wasn't any sort of signage, so I couldn't tell if the place was open, or if it was even a store at all. Don't worry, this isn't a dubious place. Those words, coming from Oishi's mouth, had absolutely no credibility. Beyond the door was, thankfully, a typical mahjong parlor. I was relieved that it wasn't the sort of suspicious place I had to be on guard about. Irashaimase. Oishi-san, hisashiburi desu. Sanka shitai n desu ka? Sorosoro, there'll be a free spot soon. Nah, I'm here with a group today, so it's fine. Oh, sorry to keep you waiting. Mahjong is a game played with 4 people. It seems that middle-aged men who was going to our 4th had already arrived and was waiting for us. You're late, Kurado. I was just thinking of going home. Oishi made an excuse for why we had taken so long. Eventually, realizing I was a new face, the other man grew interested. That's Aksaka-san. He's a rookie who came all the way from Tokyo on assignment. They have a high hope for him. Boy, can you play mahjong? Well, I played a bit when I was a student. Sato and the old man cackled in unison. Their plot to sucker me out of my money was painfully obvious. I thought you'd be a bit tired from your assignment, leaving you on edge all the time, so I thought I'd give you a night to cleanse your spirit. I know asking this now might be stupid, but we're betting money on this, aren't we? Well, you see, just a little. It's just a little for funsies, but it doesn't matter who loses, because after all this, we're using that money to go play at a very nice place. Go and play? At what kind of place would you be doing that? Without reservation, the 3 of them started suggesting places like cabarets, high-class clubs, and even brothels. Are brothels even a thing? At the very least, they were the types of places that you couldn't go with money that was just for funsies. Or she took all of my money the other day, and I also have work to do, so I can't stay for long. Then all you have to do is win. If you win, then you can use that money to play for that table, and you can talk to Kuro about work or whatever. No matter what happened, it seemed that they were intent on playing mahjong for free. I would have to fasten my resolve a bit. If I was going to be underestimated like this forever, it was going to get in the way of my work. I understand. Then I'll play with you guys for just a bit, If I win, you don't get any of the money or get to go to any of those dirty places, and we talk about work right away. Ha 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 ha! Yeah, bring it on. If we win, we're headed straight to the Blue Mermaid on Flower Road. Oh, that place with the girls dressed up in gym clothes and maid uniforms? This old lecher likes that place too. Of course, we're gonna hop between all the places where they keep the girls coming. What about you, Sato? I prefer a place where we can drink quietly. Like a nice, quiet place where you can play footsies with the bunny girl. The last time we went drinking, you pulled the tail right off that bunny girl, didn't you? Didn't you end up paying for that? The owner ended up charging what he called a tailoring fee. What a lively table this was. I could tell the other customers were glaring at us while we loudly continued our crude conversation. Speaking of which, the fact that they assumed I was the same was a bit disheartening. Oishi had taken all the money I'd brought, so everything I had left was out of my own pocket. In addition, there wasn't that much left of that either. If I kept on hanging around him like this, through his goading, my wallet would disappear into the night. I had to somehow win and return the conversation to my job. But these people, no matter how you looked at it, are pretty good. Sorry, Yuki. Well then, I'll just call Ichi right here. Well, the old man and Sato-san probably won't fall for this silly Richi. I wonder if Akusaka will spit out what I need. At any rate, Kurado's hand is probably holding something. What? In that case, this one's ought to go through there. Oh, come on. I thought I got away from the stupid club crap, and now they're bringing it back with old men. The old man's pretty good. He's quietly trying to use one of my safe tiles to complete his hand, isn't he? It seems that... Who the fuck is talking? I don't know who's talking. Alright. It seems that Akusaka has at least learned the ropes when it comes to guarding against someone's Richi. I don't know anything about Mahjong, so I can't help you guys with that one. But that will be his downfall. What's wrong, Lord? Would you hurry up and discard? If you're not sure, anything that Kurado's already thrown away should be a safe bet, no? Ooh, Akusaka is really fretting over this one. It was glaringly obvious that he had a safe tile to discard, but he didn't want to throw it away because it would move him farther from completing his hand. They're so nice when they're young and innocent. Yeah, I have no idea who's speaking. I kind of have like a creepy informant voice, Oishi-san's voice, Akusaka's voice, and then this random guy who I made sort of nerdy. Come on, hurry up, throw out the kicker. If he gave me the winning tile, we'd be headed to an establishment. If he gave me the tile, we'd be heading to an establishment where I could do with all sorts of licking and sucking. Happy New Year. If he gives the old man his winning tile, we'd be heading straight to the place with maids and bloomers. This will go through, right? He looked up as he hesitantly threw out the tile that was, too bad. I don't know Mahjong at all. We're gonna skip this. Beep, beep, beep. But after that, Akusaka managed to level your throat, bringing bad times, completing his hand. Senpai, I don't know what any of this means. No, 10, I don't know anything about Mahjong. So does another keenly anticipate the two players when reaching, and I don't understand what any of this means. You're every beginner when sorry guys, I don't understand what any of this means, so it's I thought I got away from the stupid club shit. I literally don't understand any of this. I usually don't skip anything in these books, but I honestly don't understand Mahjong, so this is all just like nonsense to me. I've never played Mahjong. I don't understand it at all. Right, like I don't know what is going on whatsoever. I guess maybe I should still read it for people who do know what Mahjong is, but to me it's just like gibberish. I mean, I think it's kind of like poker, sort of. I don't know. I literally have no freaking idea. Anyways, Akasaka's winning, it seems. Like, I think it's like poker a little bit, sort of. Like, you want to get, like, same cards and, like, the highest... Maybe, like, rummy. I don't really know, actually. But I think it's kind of like... For some reason, I feel like it's sort of like poker. There was actually a episode in... Oh, wait, maybe it was a movie. In Conan, Detective Conan with Mahjong. And it was hard because I didn't understand it, so it made it less entertaining. It was a movie, and it had to do with Mahjong, and I didn't understand the tiles on the or the numbers on the Mahjong like pointed to the killer or something. But see, he just said straight there, so maybe that's like 1, 2. No, I don't fucking know. No, I have no desire to learn Mahjong. Mahjong is for like old, middle-aged men. Anyways, to summarize this section, the detective, our protagonist here, is winning. Hey, Corrado, this isn't what we discussed. Who the hell said he was a naive sucker ripe for the picking? Who could it be? Hoshi, this is bad. If he keeps going like this, we're seriously gonna lose. Akasaka-kun, for you to make me get serious? Looks like you really want to be milked dry. And we're back. Pong, pong, that sounds nice. Pong, 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 pong. Also, the fact that it switched perspectives is really confusing me. This whole book has been going from Akasaka's perspective. What's pawn? What's a pin? Okay, now they want to cheat. And what's Deech? Oh! I know Deech! Oh, I know Deech! Deech is, they say it in bingo when they're one away from winning, from getting a bingo. That's what it is. Deech. Deech. That's what that is. So they're one away from getting a set or something? Yeah, I've been living in Japan for 4 years. About. I really don't understand what I'm just doing. We're just gonna skip this part. I'm assuming Akasaka wins and then gets his information, which is what I care about. I mean, like I said, this would be more... Okay, now they're talking about normal things. Konbanwa. Hey, Ori! You're late. They just had a thing about mahjong and I had no idea what they were talking about, so I skipped it.私もたくさん寝ました。Alright, it looks like we're almost done with the mahjong. So, 私の両親と姉と今朝明けましておめでとうと言いました。Alright, this looks like a good spot to pick up. Well then, is it alright if I'm declared the overall winner then? Yeah. We totally lost. I lost. It's been a while since I lost this big. Still, when you were playing, boy, you were pretty into it. It was kind of scary. I hear that a lot. I don't mean to change gears like that, though. Did I really look that scary? Yup. The three of us nodded emphatically in agreement. So that was Aksaka, the Mahjong prodigy. Before he goes home from his assignment, maybe I could have him go play at high-stakes table in my place. But it's not good to get greedy. Well then, nothing for it. It was a promise. We'll break up our little late-night study group right now. Sorry about this, old man. That's it for tonight. Nothing you could do. I'm gonna go home and sleep. My body won't last like this. Problems at work? Oh, he's the foreman of the primary construction site at the Himatsubushi-hen Dam. He's butting heads with the residents every day. It's a rough business. Around next year, I might be in charge of the second side as well. I heard that Kuroda-san was pissing blood. He won't hold out much longer. You'll be all right, old man. Your skull is thicker than it looks. I'm not exactly a saint, you know. There's times that just make my blood boil. I especially can't stand dealing with that bratty daughter of the Sonozakis. I think one of these days I'm going to rearrange her face. Now. At least the pay's good, right? I heard the wages were pretty exorbitant. Of course they are. If the pay was cheap, nobody would hang around that god-awful job. Hey, Corrado, exactly when are the police going to tell all the villagers to shove off? There'll be a notice of eviction from the government, right? Maybe. I wonder what'll happen. The old man, who identified himself as the foreman of the Himatsubushi-hen Dam, spewed a few complaints until he felt better about it, then left quietly. Well then, let's go. I'll leave the rest to Sato-san. Oishi, are you going home? If I'm here, I'll just be in the way, won't I? Besides, the one who bought Sato's services was you. I didn't pay for my share. Oishi was kind of sketchy, but he was strangely conscientious about some things. I felt quite a bit of gap between myself and Oishi's generation from the part of him I didn't comprehend. Then, boy? No, I can't call Mr. Mahjong here boy no more. It's Aksaka-kun all right with you? Yes. Then, Aksaka-kun, shall we go? Well then, Aksaka-san, later. If you're having any trouble, you can count on me at any time. I don't have any more money to pay you, you know that. You can just give back a little of what I lost tonight. Oishi, seemingly still not having his fill of playing around, but without overstaying his welcome, disappeared into the night. Is this sound too loud for you guys, or is it okay? The informant, named Sato, had me get into his... Okay, sweet. Get into his car before he set off. It's really loud for me, so... He favored narrow roads and made numerous short left turns. Checking if we're being followed? Yeah, you know a lot about this. Checking to see if you were being tailed by making left turns was a rather classic technique. If it was just a single pursuer, you could confirm it that way. But if you were being tailed as a team, this archaic method wouldn't let you shake them. Of course, doing it anyway was better than not. I didn't hear anything from the boss as to who you are, Aksaka-kun. Related to the police? If you're familiar with checking for being tailed, the only other possibility I can think of is something like a private detective. If it's not something I have to say, I'd like to refuse to answer that question. Mama, ever since we played Mahjong, you seem a lot more mature. I wonder where that hesitant person went from where we first met. I smiled wryly. Looking back now, I had to be a little grateful for being made to play Mahjong. Thanks to that, I was able to relieve some tension. Eventually, Sato-san, confirming that no cars followed us, slipped outside the city. We were on a pitch-black country road, unable to see anything besides the lights outside. The only things I was able to hear were the hum of the car's air conditioning and the chirping of insects and frogs. I heard from the boss that you want to hear a bit about Hinamizawa, yeah? Like about the old houses known as the three families who control the place, or that right now it's pretty much the Sonozaki family running things? If you know that much already, I'll cut out the introductions. Then if you would, can you confirm or deny if the Onikafuchi Defense Alliance is involved with the kidnapping of Minister Inagawa's grandson? Sato checked the rearview mirror once more to confirm if there wasn't anyone behind us before speaking. Last night, the Sonozaki main house held a family council. Did you hear about it from the boss? No. If it was a normal meeting, then it'd be all the relatives coming together over a nice cup of tea or something. But a family council held by the main house isn't quite so relaxed. A family council held by the Sonozaki main house. That would be a meeting between those who truly controlled Hinamizawa. They wouldn't be talking about private family matters. It would be about the village as a whole. About organizing activities against the dam project. Among other things, everything would be decided there. In reality, they were deciding the fate of the village. At the head of the meeting was Oryo Sonozaki, more or less called Empress Sonozaki. As the ultimate decision-maker of the clan, she was to be feared and respected. Infirm with old age, she was often unable to stand on her own, but her words carried enough weight to sway the fate of the village. It seemed that lately she had grown weak, and on days where she wasn't feeling well, remained bedridden. Family councils that occurred while she wasn't feeling well took place with her on the floor. In the middle of a dignified Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body sitting upright, a stern look on her face. That was Sonozaki Oryo. Sitting next to her was her heir, Sonozaki Mion. She was still young. No, young wasn't quite the word. She was a girl who remained childish. Her role was merely to sit besides Sonozaki Oryo, Oryo, sometimes responding to her requests. However, she was the only one deemed worthy to succeed Oryo. She had the same hawkish eyes, enough to give pause to anyone who so much as looked at them. Much was expected of her in the future, this granddaughter of the Sonozaki's leader. And also, on either side of her sat several other important members of the remaining three families, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. First on the list for the Kimiyoshi family was, of course, the mayor of Hinamizawa village, Kimiyoshi Kichiro. And lined up beside him were several more of his direct relatives. Opposite them sat the other three of the families, the Furude family. The Furude family was comprised of the family of a Shinto priest, so the only other ones there that was his wife and their daughter Rika. Rika was doted on by many of the older folks in the village, and it seemed that Oryo was no exception. While the stress from attending a family council was said to be enough to shorten your lifespan by 3 days, it seemed like Rika was the only one exempt from that. No matter how charged the atmosphere was around her, she paid it no mind, instead humming along as she doodled in a sketchbook. In fact, The night before, lying on her stomach while humming and doodling, she nonchalantly tucked her legs into Orio's futon like it was a kotatsu. All this was the 3 families, and all around the room, lined row upon row, were relatives of the Sonozaki family. The only ones who were afforded cushions to sit on were direct relatives. The others were left to sit in the seiza position directly on the tatami mats. That's, seiza is like Japanese style sitting. With Empress Sonozaki enshrined at the center, they were almost like a giant snake coiled around the room. It was decided that everyone would sit in order of their rank. The number of people from the Sonozaki family was overwhelming. The fact that the Sonozakis held so many seats at the meeting, where everything pertaining to the village was decided, made determining where the balance of power was held in the 3 families as clear as day. The number of members in attendance from each of the families directly reflected how much influence they had over ruling Hinamizawa. What was talked about at that meeting? Sato, after remaining silent for a while, quietly began to speak. I don't know who's talking, so I'm just going to go with it. Wasn't our monetary gift of appreciation to the media a little large? Breaking a long moment of silence was the head of the Kimiyoshi family, Kimiyoshi Kichiro. The Onigafuchi Defense Alliance wasn't a business. They were nothing more than a private organization pushing for the cancellation of the Hinamizawa Dam project, with no reliable source of income. Fundraising had always been a problem. When they first started operating, they had managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations. But as the conflict dragged on, that amount was steadily declining. This isn't an era where you can get what you want just by throwing rocks. It's very important you don't underestimate the power of the media, and we want to borrow some of that down the road. The expressions of the people related to the Sonozaki family were sullen, as the one who suggested that they should borrow the power was the family head, Oyo Sonozaki. The battle wasn't just about force of arms. In this civilized age, there were civilized methods of fighting. Orio suggested that, creating a strategy incorporating the mass media. Orio's foresight was spot on, and the effects of the plan, while at first unclear, slowly began to manifest. If the physical confrontation with the construction site was meant to delay progress in the dam by even one day, then the propaganda war using the media was aimed at attacking the dam project itself. At first, there were those who had doubts about the strategy, but there is nobody now who called those results into question. But in order to maintain those media ties, a colossal amount of money was required. As long as the amount of funds they had was abundant, things would turn out fine. It couldn't be argued that it was a massive expense, but the results spoke for themselves. But with the conflict continuing to drag on, the circumstances had changed. The head of the Sonozaki family, no. That's horrible. Horrible. The one who sat at the pinnacle of the Hinamizawa's 3 families, Oryo, had suggested the idea herself, so it was already untouchable, and continued to be allowed to drain from the budget. Nobody acknowledged that it should be so allowed, but nobody could say anything. That was the price of dealing with the mass media. What do you think, Oryo? The only person who could object to a plan proposed by the head of the Sonozaki household herself was probably Mayor Kimiyoshi. Oryo, with a hard-to-find expression on her face, as if she had severed herself from the fetters of mortal emotion, simply listened quietly to Kimiyoshi's words. But really, it was hard to tell if she was quietly listening, or didn't even have the intention of listening at all. I don't know who this is. I'm going to assume it's the guy still. Last year, we went through a lot of trouble getting people to wrap their heads around the price hike on the bulletins we were putting out. We convinced them it was just the one time. It just wouldn't do if we had another one this year. Right, Furude-san? The mayor looked at the priest and his wife from the Furude family for affirmation. The priest gave a vague expression, avoiding a prompt response. But his wife gave her answer without a second thought. That's right. The cost of the bulletins are a particularly harsh burden for the poor families. Everybody is dealing with them for the sake of the village, but it's best we don't increase the prices anymore. The bulletin was, as its name implied, a bulletin published by the Ongafuji Defense Alliance. It outlined the Alliance's activities, ideals, and resolve, but you couldn't deny the contents were rather piecemeal. That bulletin's main goal wasn't to inform people, but rather was something to sell to businesses and people living in the village or connected to it, and using those sales to collect funds. In other words, it had become something sort of a tax. Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main sources of income. Originally, purchase was supposed to be voluntary, but it, in Hinamizawa, had been silenced, became the opposite. In the neighboring towns as well, it seemed that many businesses were buying copies just to avoid butting heads with the Alliance. I'm being perfectly honest with you, I don't care. This is very boring to me. Maybe I'm supposed to be paying attention to it, but it's like business talk, and me and business talk are like... And I guess I can guess what it's leading towards, but yeah, anyways. The priest whispered to his wife to not say anything unnecessary, but was struck down decidedly with a cold glare. Cowering from that glare, the priest shut his mouth. The priest's wife always held the power in their relationship. That was because she was the one who carried the Furue bloodline. The priest merely married into the family. He was nothing more than somebody who adopted the name just to join the three families. He should have been able to find a spot fairly high up in the hierarchy of things, but the lack of authority in his voice meant that he had still not gained any favor. Casting a backwards glance at her rather disparate parents, Rika continued to doodle whimsically without paying them any mind. Signaled by a look from Oryo, Mion brought her ear closer to her grandmother. There's something was said to her in a quiet voice. After responding with a couple questions, with a nod from Oryo, Mion looked around the room and conveyed her grandmother's words. There will no freeze on the price increase for the bulletin. Huh? Is there supposed to be a B in there? There will be no freeze? I'm guessing there's supposed to be a B in there. Kimiyoshi made a face like he had just bit into something unpleasant, but that expression quickly disappeared like it had never happened at all. But, Mion-chan, I think you already know this, but the cost of the bulletin is by no means easily affordable. It's a burden carried by everybody in Hinamizawa. If we make people carry too much of the burden, it's possible we'll collapse from the inside. And who on the inside would start that collapse? I didn't mean it like that. I'm asking who would be the first to buckle. Being cross-examined by a girl who still had fragments of childness remaining within her, the words stuck in Kimiyoshi's throat as he sunk into silence. Mion repeated her question once more, looking around the crowded room. Everyone refrained making eye contact to avoid being pierced by her gaze. The words she had spoken were unarguably said in proxy for Oreo. That's why when Mion spoke them, they carried the same weight. But the look in her eyes was different. Like Orio's, they had a hawkish gaze, strong enough that anybody looking upon them would freeze in their tracks and yield. But that gaze was without her question one that belonged to Mion herself. As Mion would eventually inherit everything from Oreo, the day that she would stand up as a young and capable leader in her own right would come. Nobody wanted to believe otherwise for even a minute. That's why nobody even thought of Mion as just some sort of little kid. Kimiyoshi-san, nobody will lose their resolve over something like a price hike on the bulletin. Kimiyoshi, while grumbling a little bit, made a gesture as to say he had no objection. The expenses related to the mass media will continue. If those expenses become too much, we'll have no choice but to continue the price hikes. Mion had rendered her judgment. Everyone bowed their heads silently listening to her words. In the name of Mion Sonozaki, as acting head of the Sonozaki family, I hereby declare that this should be effective immediately. There shall be no more objections, and any opposition shall be removed by force. The formal decree was read aloud, indicating her judgment. There would be no retrial, but there was a certain authority behind those words that even a courthouse couldn't compare to. If she was a judge, she would have banged her gavel, signaling that the matter was settled. Mion pulled out a large bell from inside her clothes and rang it. Everyone present could only prostrate themselves before the harsh sound of the bell. Well, that's a rather old-fashioned family council, isn't it? A young guy like you probably would find it hard to believe. In an antiquated place like this, these types of things have... It was exactly as Oishi had said. The old system of the three families had vanished, and now the Sonozaki family was running things by themselves. On top of that, their rule was borderline despotic. Was that the end of the meeting? No. There's more. I'll continue. Eventually, after the ringing of the bell ceased, there was a deafening silence. Within all of that, a lone man shuffled closer to Mion and whispered something in her ear. Mion asked several questions quietly in response. When she was satisfied, she motioned for the man to leave. The man who talked to Mion was a member of a gang that her father was the leader of. That organization had the entire area of Shibone City under its control, so it was quite well known even here. Of course, this was talking about the criminal underworld, so it's not like just anybody would know. But just showing a patch with the gang symbol on it was enough to resolve any disputes in the neighborhood. Mion's biological father, the Oryo, was her daughter's husband. The power of that man's gang was the driving force that controlled the dark underbelly of the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance. And so that man, from his position, as the next in line to control the three families, continued to coerce everybody around him with his unconventional presence. Mion exchanged a look with her father. Was it okay for her to tell what she just heard directly to Oryo? It looked like she was asking that question. Her father gently but firmly nodded his response. Mion also nodded, then sidled up to Oryo and informed her of something. Eventually, Mion finished conveying her message, separated herself from Oryo, and fixed her posture, waiting for Oryo to signal her response. It wasn't often that Oryo showed any emotion. That's why, when she started to laugh quietly, A vague sense of uneasiness crept over everybody in the room. That's quite the conundrum, isn't it? Oreo was laughing so happily that Kiyoshi had to hesitantly ask, "What is it, Oreo-san?" "If this land is like a mother to us, then this business with the dam is like somebody threatening our mother's life, isn't it?" Kiyoshi, unable to comprehend the meaning of her words, looked confused. Oreo, with a wide grin on her face, turned towards everybody and addressed them in a clarion voice. "The minister behind the dam project is apparently rattled over the kidnapping of his grandson. That makes us even." "That's absurd! Information on the kidnapping of Minister Inagawa's grandson shouldn't have leaked from anywhere. How did they know? Even we didn't know that much about the kidnapping incident. Exactly how did an antiquated household so far away from Tokyo come to know of this? It was a tranquil place, but I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling about Hinamizawa. At some point, I had mentally filed this place away as unrelated to the incident at hand. That mental paperwork had just blown away in the wind. How? How did the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance know about that?" Sato, unable to come up with an answer, fell into silence. "I'm sorry. Please continue." "Sure. The Minister of Construction's grandson was kidnapped? Oreo, is that true?" That major of an incident was nowhere to be seen in the newspapers or on TV. But in Hinamizawa, there was nothing strange about Oreo knowing something that the rest of the world didn't. "Our pain is the pain of losing a mother. I don't think it completely makes up for it, but the pain of losing a grandchild. He'll have to bear with that for a bit. Don't you think?" The last question wasn't addressed to anybody in particular. It was as if she was looking for a consensus. "Still, land and a human child are different things. I don't mind hiding in here, but I want no harm to befall him. The child isn't to blame. Make sure to keep that in mind." "That means they were involved." "I can't say for certain." "Why? Even though their leader, Oreo, was clearly giving orders on the treatment of the kidnapped child." "Lad, you see, this is what the Sonozaki family always does." "Always does? What do you mean?" "Let's say there was a particular problem. One that wasn't exactly favorable for the Sonozaki family. If Oreo shows concern over that particular problem, hearing that, somebody who attended the family council would be helpful. As a result, Oreo's wish would be granted. However, neither Oreo nor anybody else would actually know who did it. With this kind of clever little ploy, the Sonozaki family was able to manipulate events even though they had their hands laid out on the table." "Then that means that somebody who was at the family council is the culprit. Or there's a possibility that there was never a culprit in the first place. Oreo herself in that room full of people didn't explicitly say that someone pulled off a kidnapping. She was just giving her opinion." It was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. Were they involved, or weren't they? I couldn't see beyond the veil. This how much I could say with certainty. This kidnapping was an ironclad secret. No matter how high a position somebody was in, even they wouldn't know about it. If there was someone who knew about it, they would be connected to public safety. In other words, one of us. The only other options were people connected to the case itself. Including the minister, there would be people affected by the incident. Or the people that committed it. In any case, there was no way an old household in a place removed from Tokyo by over 6 hours of highway travel should know. Them knowing was strange. My suspicions began to accumulate, like falling snow. That's as much as Oreo said in regards to the kidnapping. Hopefully, what you wanted to find out was in there. After this, it's up to you. I don't know what kind of work you're doing, but if you're going up against the Sonozaki family, you'd best prepare yourself. Or she might be fearless, but even he's been attacked 2 or 3 times. He hasn't been wearing it lately, but at one point he was wearing a stab-proof vest while off duty. It's awful! Fuck! Thanks for the warning. I'll be careful. You speak pretty well. Are you from Tokyo by chance? Huh? What's your point? Investigators were always close to danger. It was best not to divulge any information on myself. Your job. Could you possibly be someone from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division? I couldn't remain silent here. It would be the same as admitting it. Huh? No way! This wasn't accounted for in the money I got from the boss. But as someone who played at the same table today, I'll give you this one as a freebie. After Oreo talked about the kidnapping, there was one other topic that came up. Another topic? And right before he told me, Sato asked if I was from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division. In other words, what the 2 things those meant caused a chill to run up my spine. So you see, that in order to investigate the kidnapping of the minister's grandson, there's a word that there will be an investigator from public safety dispatched all the way from Tokyo. An investigator from public safety? They can't be reckless and make a big deal over the kidnapping, so it seems the Metropolitan Public Safety Division is investigating this on their own. Ain't that grand, What is it? Rika, who had been drawing the entire time and was completely uninterested in the conversation up until now, looked at Oreo with an interested face as soon as the topic of public safety came up. I have no idea who's talking, I'm sorry. Did the Metropolitan Police come? Oh, I was right. Oh, so Rika-chama knows about the Metropolitan Police Department. That's very admirable. Who came? Is there anybody that knows what kind of guy from public safety came here? Mion's father raised his hand slightly. I hear. Alright. I hear it's a nice, young piece of fresh meat. Fresh meat? Is it nice and tender? Yes, it is. Fresh meat. Mion's father smiled wryly as he answered Rika's question. Tender and tasty. Tender and tasty. Rika smiled with interest. Why did Rika suddenly act interested only when it came to this topic? That was a question that apparently nobody had the answer to. Does Rika-chama know something about this man? I don't know. After her rather flat reply, Rika buried herself underneath Oreo's futon again. But when she buried herself there, Rika no longer started drawing again. Instead, she was making an expression like she was in a deep contemplation. What shall we do about him, Mother? Mion's father posed the question. He had the type of uncouth expression on his face, indicating that, given the order, he could snuff the problem out at any time. He came all the way to Hinamizawa. Let him take it easy for a little while. So you're saying to just let him go around as he pleases? Mion's father asked in response. Orio smiled thinly as she responded. Leave him alone. But if he starts causing too much mischief, when that happens, don't hold back. I don't enjoy being taken lightly. Is what they talked about, apparently. It couldn't be that you're that fresh meat from Metropolitan Police, are you? It couldn't be. The sensation of cold, bristling fear began to crawl its way up my back. This family council took place last night. In other words, yesterday. Then today, when I was dressed up as a tourist headed towards Hinamizawa, my cover was already blown. When I remembered the first person I met, when I got to the bus stop, I couldn't breathe. The person at the family council who expressed interest in the man being dispatched from the Metropolitan Police, Rika Furude. And then, the person who was waiting for me at the whole time in the bus shelter, Rika Furude. It was an unthinkable image. No, it was a delusion. When we met at the bus shelter, did Rika know my true identity? Did she know that I was Akusaka, dispatched from the Metropolitan Police Department and come to meet me? Then, including Mayor Kimiyoshi, every villager that I met, everybody knew, but just pretended not to? Because Oyo had given them instructions not to interfere? Thinking about it logically, it didn't seem possible. I met quite a number of people. If there's people that are that good at acting, then there's people who are bad at hiding things. If there was that many people, then there should have been somebody among them who knew I was from public safety and couldn't hide their hostility. However, I didn't feel any presence like that. But then even still, why did Oyoro tell them to leave me alone? Was it because if they were careless about it would only raise more suspicion? Or is it because they believed a rookie like me wouldn't be able to find anything? Akusaka is a coward. I recalled that strained voice which could only make me believe that Rika had been possessed. That unknown entity, no matter how you looked at it, knew my true identity from the get-go. And then, how did it warn me again? That's right. It warned me to hurry and go back to Tokyo. Instead of the realistic worry that my Onigafuchi Defense Alliance had discovered my identity, the absurd worry brought on by the unknown girl stuck with me more. What exactly was that girl? What was the thing I would eventually regret? That mysterious girl, Rika Furude. Stop. Everything I was thinking of right now was merely conjecture. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I will report everything I heard right now to HQ and wait further orders. There was no mistaking the possibility the Onigafuchi Defense Alliance were related to this case. And the fact that my cover was blown meant I was in a precarious position. But as everyone at HQ was already extremely busy, they might not be able to spare the support. Is that everything? If you want, I can drop you off wherever you like. Sorry. In that case, the station where we met, please. A rural road where even a street light was rare. I couldn't see anything. I wasn't aware of anything but the asphalt that was lit up by the headlights. Outside of that light, was it simply darkness? Or was there something lurking there, waiting to strike? I had to think that I drew the short straw here. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. For some reason, the voice of the girl warning me to go back still lingered in my head.